Remember that in our detail view, we didn't have ingredients or step yet. Well, after this video, that's going to change. We're going to have an ingredient list with different sections for the, if applicable, if the recipe has different components. We'll also have a list of the recipe steps. All of them will begin expanded, but we can collapse them all or expand them as a group, or we can just let the user collapse or expand them individually. The first thing that we have to do is start adding our ingredients. Our data model currently doesn't support that. We have the ingredients coming soon in the detail view. Let's start with the data model. So we're going to add two things. One is the ingredients. The ingredients will be grouped. For example, we can have the sauce of a recipe and then the main dish. Those should be two different sections of ingredients. The user may be interested in only knowing the ingredients of one of the two at a time. And then there will be the steps. The steps, they will just be 1 through whatever. And I do not want to do that manually, so let's ask Claude to do it. Let's enhance our recipes data model with ingredients, and let's also add a relation to ingredients, since at a later point we will have a step highlight the ingredients that are needed for it specifically. Let's change the name from component ingredient to just component. Voice didn't work that well there. Okay, thank you, Claude. So now we have the ingredient with an ID name. Claude wanted to start creating the ingredients, but I stopped it since I missed adding more instructions to the ingredient struct. So let's add an icon. Let's add quantity, since again, the quantity can be half a cup, 1 tablespoon, 1 teaspoon, 1 liter. We need all of that. So let's have a unit. That will be the teaspoon, the tablespoon. We may want to display them separately with a different font or something. So we'll do that. And then our recipe has this. Okay, so now this is what Claude wanted to do. Sample. Let's leave it. Let it do. And now we have our mock data here. We have the ingredients, the components. Components may or may not have a title. So if there's no sauce or separate components in the recipe, then we will just not demand for a title. Here, for example, we do have the salad, the dressing, and all of the other steps. Let me grab one of these ingredients, because what we're going to do next is we're going to create the ingredient row. What will be our ingredient row will be an icon and then 2 text. One will be the name and the other one will be the quantity and the unit. And we will add different fonts to each. A reminder, we're doing glass effect to be consistent with the other part of the UI. Now we don't need the entire thing, so we will do a tint blue with opacity, so it will be a very mild glass effect. Okay, there, that was better. It was my bad, adding just a frame actually didn't let the glass effect show. Now that we have the image, let's go to the other text, which we will place in a vertical B stack. We'll add spacing later, don't worry. Our ingredient row might be almost ready. However, remember that I wanted to highlight the unit, but since it's the same text, we're adding the same font. What we can do there here is in SwiftUI, it's supported that in string interpolation, we use text as well. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to make this a text, and this is the one that we're going to make bold. There. This will be our ingredient row. Now let's go and add it to the detail view. Since we are now adding ingredients, let's make the ingredients title a little bit more prominent. In this case, we had, oh yeah, we're selecting the first sample, so that one only has one component and it doesn't have a title. If I remember correctly, the second one was the one that had a salad and a dressing. Yeah. We can add more spacing. This will make everything be more spaced, which is not something we want. So we'll encase this one in a VStack with less spacing. And let's look at this from our content view. So we have everything here. Let's see the avocado one. The dressing, good. With the ingredients done, all that we are missing for this video is adding the steps. Now the steps can be a bit lengthy, and in an iPhone where we have limited screen real estate, we would like to be as efficient as possible and also to give the user the choice to use up all the space. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a list of the steps, but each step is going to be collapsible. Just like we did for ingredient, let's add a separate view for a step in a recipe. So a recipe will have a step and also a number. Now remember that we're gonna let the user collapse this. So what we're gonna do for now, let's see how it looks with a disclosure group. If we don't like how it is, we'll change it to a custom implementations. For now, we'll be adding the title to the disclosure group as the number. There'll be a binding variable which could be the state. So you see we have a 1 here. It's like a number. It starts expanding and we can collapse it. Again, it will be responsibility of the one presenting as to add padding. So we'll worry about how it looks with the disclosure group later. For now, let's create the step view. And it's a little bit close to the title, so we'll add a bit of padding to the top. Okay, here's how we have it right now. Not the best animation. Let's see how it looks in the detail view, and we'll decide if we go with a custom implementation or not. Let's also do a little bit of cleanup in our view. For that, we will also use Claude. Perfect. Hero section, cooking, info of it all. So let's add the new section. Let's see, the auto-suggested code was not the best. As I was mentioning, let's add a bit more padding, and also notice that at the bottom, because of our ignoring the safe area for the hero image, this also affects us here. So for that, we'll just add a spacer with a specific height, and the user can expand and collapse as they want. Now, notice I don't like what we're getting here with the disclosure group. It's not like we can control that easy the alignment here, and I would like to add some transition animation here. So let's change that. We'll also add a button to collapse or expand all. This will control if all of the steps begin collapsed or expanded. And we'll be passing that to the recipe step view, which right now it's not supported. Let's make that change. And instead of the disclosure group, we'll have just a regular VStack with our implementation. We'll worry about the text later. For now, let's just add the button to expand and collapse. We're gonna add a rotation effect, since depending on if the step is expanded or not, that's when we rotate this. Our chevron working. Now what's missing is actually hiding and showing the text. And we have an animation. Let's add more transition to this. So you can add one transition opacity, which is the one that we were seeing, and we can combine it. I actually like the bottom better. And let's see if we're missing some padding. So we have our ingredients. We have the list here. We do not want to start in 0. That's not user friendly. Let's add a 1. So besides the bug that we still have here, where the flag is not actually working, we also have here the steps are too cramped. So let's add more padding with the chevron. Okay, I went through a bit of debugging and finally fixed it. So what happened was, in step view, we had to have two separate flags. One was for the state and the other one was in case the parent is expanded. And we just added an on change. Another thing we can do is add a divider here. And there we have it. We have a divider separating each of the steps. And we have our spring animation with the transition that we wanted for each of the rows. So yeah, going with a custom control was better. And we had more control over the chevron, how it looks, and the transition with the content. That was it for today. We completed our detail view. Now we have the ingredients with the quantity and the unit if applicable. We also have our list of steps where we can all collapse or expand all at once or individually with a new transition animation. See you in the next video. Bye.